This video is made to be watched either with or without sound. In the last video, we covered the 5th year of Zedekiah, when Ezekiel started his ministry in Babylon in the 4th month. That year was also the 12th year of Ahasuerus, and we covered the events of Haman, Esther, Mordecai, and Purim, noting the specific dates given. The next year, the 6th year of Zedekiah, was also the 3rd year of Pharaoh Psammetichus II. This was the year Psammetichus led an important and successful military campaign against Ethiopia or Cush to the south. Then the next year, Psammetichus visited Phoenicia and tried to re-encourage a revolt against Babylon. As we saw in part 6 of this video series, Zedekiah was captured and taken to Babylon in his 4th year after a revolt was being planned. He was returned to his throne in Jerusalem under an oath and a covenant with Nebuchadnezzar. But he rebelled against him by sending his ambassadors to Egypt, that they might give him horses and many people. Ezekiel 17:15. So in the 9th year of Zedekiah, Babylon besieged Jerusalem on the 10th day of the 10th month. This date was recorded by Jeremiah, who was in Jerusalem at the time, and by Ezekiel, who was in Babylon, when God said, "Son of man, write down the name of this day, this very day. The king of Babylon started his siege against Jerusalem this very day," and also in 2 Kings 25:1. Psammetichus died right about the time that Babylon besieged Jerusalem, and his son Opres or Hophra became the new pharaoh and would come to help Zedekiah. Then Pharaoh's army came up from Egypt. And when the Chaldeans who were besieging Jerusalem heard news of them, they departed from Jerusalem. Zedekiah made a covenant with the people and proclaimed liberty to all the Hebrew slaves. But the people quickly changed their minds and brought their male and female slaves back into subjection. When they broke their covenant with the slaves, Jeremiah prophesied that Zedekiah and his princes would be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which has gone back from you. Behold, I will command, says the Lord, and cause them to return to this city. They will fight against it and take it and burn it with fire. Also during this short reprieve, now when the Chaldean army had withdrawn from Jerusalem at the approach of Pharaoh's army, Jeremiah set out from Jerusalem to go to the land of Benjamin to receive his portion there among the people. Jeremiah was seized and accused of defecting to the Chaldeans. He denied it, so they brought him to the princes. The princes were angry with Jeremiah, and they struck him and put him in prison, and the house of Jonathan the scribe, for they had made that the prison. Then Zedekiah secretly brought Jeremiah to his house to ask word from the Lord. Jeremiah told him, "You shall be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon." Then Jeremiah requested to be moved from the house of Jonathan the scribe. So Zedekiah complied. Zedekiah the king commanded that they should commit Jeremiah to the court of the prison. Jeremiah would remain in the court of the prison until Jerusalem was taken. The Babylonians returned to the siege, and Zedekiah sent again to Jeremiah in prison to get word from the Lord. Jeremiah said, "Thus says the Lord, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He who remains in this city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. But he who goes out and defects to the Chaldeans who besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be as a prize to him." Then while Jeremiah was in the court of the prison, in the 10th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, which was the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar, his cousin Hanamel came to him and said, "Please buy my field that is in Anathoth." The Lord had foretold that this would happen, so Jeremiah bought the field, although he was confused as to why the Lord would have him do this, since all the property in Israel was about to become Babylon's. The Lord reassured Jeremiah that even though Israel was going to be driven from their land, "I will bring them back to this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely." And a second time, while Jeremiah was in the court of the prison, "I will cause the captives of Judah and the captives of Israel to return." The princes heard that Jeremiah had said, "He who remains in the city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. But he who goes over to the Chaldeans shall live," and "This city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it." So they said to the king, "Let this man be put to death, for he is weakening the hands of the soldiers who are left in the city." So the princes cast him into the dungeon that was in the court of the prison, lowered him down by ropes, and Jeremiah sank in the mire. Ebed-melech heard what they had done to Jeremiah. So he spoke to the king, saying, "These men have done evil to Jeremiah the prophet, and he is likely to die from hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city." So the king allowed Ebed-melech to rescue Jeremiah from the dungeon pit, but Jeremiah would remain in the court of the prison. Then Zedekiah sent a final time to ask of Jeremiah secretly, but Jeremiah was hesitant to speak to him, saying, "If I tell you, you'll put me to death, and if I give you advice, you won't listen to me." The king promised him he would not put Jeremiah to death. So Jeremiah told him, "If you surely surrender, then your soul shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and you and your house shall live. But if you do not surrender, then this city shall be given into the hand of the Chaldeans. They shall burn it with fire, and you shall not escape from their hand." Zedekiah was afraid to surrender, saying, "I am afraid of the Jews who have defected to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hand and they abuse me." Jeremiah said, "They shall not deliver you. Please obey the voice of the Lord which I speak to you." Zedekiah swore Jeremiah to secrecy about this meeting. Jeremiah was returned to the court of the prison and remained there until the day Jerusalem was taken. Zedekiah never did surrender. Then, in the 11th year of Zedekiah, in the 4th month, on the 9th day of the month, the city was penetrated. Then all the princes of the king of Babylon came in and sat in the middle gate. Zedekiah fled, but was caught in the plains of Jericho and brought to Nebuchadnezzar at Riblah, where he witnessed the execution of his sons. Then Zedekiah's eyes were put out, and he was taken prisoner to Babylon. Now in the 5th month, on the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, burned the house of the Lord and broke down the walls of Jerusalem. Since we know the Battle of Carchemish was in the spring of 605 BC, and that was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, we can accurately convert the destruction of Jerusalem from Nebuchadnezzar's 19th year to the summer of 587 BC. When converting years to BC, the simple rule of thumb to remember is that January 1st is always an early winter. So 586 BC begins about the 10th month on the lunar calendar, and 587 BC ends where 586 BC begins in early winter. You can download this printable chart and the Jeremiah chart that shows the chapters of Jeremiah in chronological order by clicking the links in the description of this video. You can also download the complete timeline spreadsheet from creation and see how everything fits year by year. A valuable reference tool for any serious Bible student.